What's going on, guys? Splatterman Cards in the house, and today I'm going to be coming to you with my Gren Maju deck profile. So before we get started, if you like what you see, don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's just get into it, guys. So first of all, I'm going to be running 3 copies of the boss monster, the main focus of this archetype, Gren Maju. And now this card's effect is, this card's attack and defense are equal to the number of your removed from play cards times 400. Now this card's attack can get insanely high. You have potential of the OTK in this deck, which is great. Moving forward, though, I like to play 3 copies of Gizmic Orochi, the Serpentron Sky Slasher. Now, this card is excellent for this archetype. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, quick effect. You can banish 8 cards from the top of your deck face down, special summon this card. You can banish 3 cards from your extra deck face down, then target 1 face-up monster on the field, destroy it. You can only use 1 Gizmic Orochi, the Serpentron effect per turn, and only once that turn. This card is great because not only does it special summon itself, but it banishes 8 in the process of special summoning itself, which only serves to power up your boss monsters. So overall, this card is, I would say, much needed in this deck. Not to mention, it is a level 8, and a lot of the XC's monsters that we're going to be going into are rank 8, so it does help a lot. Next, I like to play 3 copies of Eater of Millions. Eater of Millions is a really dope card because it does help remove a lot of cards, pesky, annoying cards that your opponent might have out of the way. Cannot be normal summon set, must be special summoned from your hand by banishing 5 or more cards from your hand, field, and or extra deck face down. Gains 100 attack and defense for each face down banished card. Cannot be tributed nor used as material for a Fusion Synchro XC summon. Once per turn during the end of the start of the damage type, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can banish that monster face down. So it only serves to, well, at least for me, I like to use it more for getting rid of my opponent's monsters, plus you're banishing monsters left and right with this card, so it does serve to power up your boss monster as well. Next, I like to play 2 copies of Hex Trude. Hopefully I'm saying this right. This thing is really works really well with the field spell Golden Castle of Stromberg, which we are going to be using in this deck, of course. It's effective if Golden Castle of Stromberg is in a field zone. You can normal summon this card without tributing. Once per turn, if Golden Castle of Stromberg is in field zone, you can target 1 card on the field, except this one, destroy it. And if you do, this card can make up to 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase this turn. When this card destroys a monster by battle, you can target 1 face-up monster you control. It gains 400 attack. So works really well with the field spell overall. Just another easy monster that you can get out and summon. Plus, the field spell works wonders for this deck overall. Next, this one might be a little bit controversial, but I played 2 copies of Necroface. Now, Necroface is, I've seen, at least in modern decks, people don't use it as much, but I think this card is actually pretty good at just recycling. When this card is normal summoned, shuffle all removed from play cards into their owner's decks. This card gains 100 attack for each of those cards. When this card is removed from play, both players remove from play the top 5 cards of their deck. So, I've had experiences where, like, I'm almost dead, I'm almost out of cards, you know, so next time I draw or whatever, I would deck out. This card does help in that situation. I didn't want to play it at 3 because I felt like that was a little too much, but at 2, it has had the situations where it has been helpful. Plus, if it gets banished, you can banish an additional 5, so it does work well to help power up your boss monster. Next is the Danger package. So starting off, I like to play set of Danger Thunderbird. You can reveal this card in your hand. Your opponent randomly chooses 1 card from your entire hand. Then you discard the chosen card. Then if the discarded card was not Danger Thunderbird, special summon 1 Danger Thunderbird from your hand. And if you do, draw 1 card. If this card is discarded, you can target 1 set card your opponent controls, destroy it. So this card is great because it's basically a free special summon. If it special summons itself, then you get to draw an extra card, which is insane, right? And on top of that, you have the ability, if this thing gets destroyed from your hand, you can destroy a set card in the field. So yeah, sometimes it's very necessary just to get rid of certain spells and traps your opponent may have. Moving forward, I like to play 3 copies of Danger Bigfoot. Now, I'm only playing the level 8 ones just because it helps me get into the rank 8s better, but I can completely see if you want to play something like Jackalope or maybe the snake one. I don't know how to pronounce it. Tuscanoch. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry. But this card basically has the same effect, except if it's discarded, then you can target 1 face-up card your opponent controls to destroy it. So this destroys a face-up card, that destroys a face-down card. On top of that, they just work really well for rank 8 summons, plus with some of the draw cards, they work really well as well. Moving forward, the Kaiju. So I like to play 2 copies of Godarla, the Mystery Dust Kaiju. Now this card is insane, especially because if you're going against Flandrees, you're most likely going to be using the Wind Barrier statue, and it's a level 8, so you are going to be needing this card. I would definitely recommend, so I'm playing with a 44 card deck, I believe. My apologies if I miscounted, but if I had, I'm trying to work with a little bit more space, but I would probably be running this at 3, as well as Gamma Seal, the Sea Turtle Kaiju. I like to play 2 of those as well, just because it's a level 8, and it has the ability to just, get rid of your opponent's annoying monsters. So if I had my way, probably running both of these at 3, 3 and 3. But I think having too much extra, well, I know most people do run around 45, 44 cards in their Gren Maju deck, but I think, in my opinion, it works best at 2, just because I don't want to overcrowd and end up not drawing what I would like to see most of the time. So next, I like to play a playset of Dimension Shifter. Now, Dimension Shifter, I feel like, is a must-have in this deck. If you have no cards in your graveyard, quick effect, you could send this card from your hand to the graveyard. Until the end of this turn, any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead. Now, this works really, really well. Most decks or whatever, they'll use this, and they will not have cards in their graveyard. This kind of also helps as well, just because most of your cards are getting banished, so you have a chance of not having them in the grave anyway. And plus, if you're in a situation where you can't use it, you can also use Allure of Darkness to just get it out of the way. Moving forward, though, I like to play 2 copies of Alpha, the Master of Beasts. This card also works great. Cannot be normal summon set. Must first be special summon from your hand, while the attack of all monsters your opponent controls is more than the attack of all monsters you control. You can target any number of beast warrior, and or winged beast monsters you control, return them to the hand, and return face-up monsters your opponent controls equal to the number of cards you return to the hand. Also, for the rest of this turn, Alpha cannot attack. So just a great way to bounce certain monsters off your hand. Does really help with OTKs. Next, we're going to be moving on to the spell cards. So for the spell cards, I like to play 2 copies of Pot of Desire. Now, this is a must-have. Obviously, this is limited to 2 right now, but if it was at 3, I'd be running it at 3, that's for sure. So its effect is you can banish 10 cards from the top of your deck to draw 2 cards. Not only does it let you draw 2 cards, but it also has the potential to power up a boss monster, which works really, really well. Next, I like to play 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. Allure of Darkness is great, because almost half your deck is dark monsters. Not all of them, but half your deck is about dark monsters. So draw 2 cards and banish 1 dark monster from your hand, or if you do not have any in your hand, you can send your entire deck to the graveyard. So great way to draw, essentially. Plus, it's a great way to get rid of Dimension Shifter if you end up in a situation where you can't use it really because you have something in your grave. Next, I like to play 3 copies of Trade-In. Trade-In is also a must-have, just because you're using so many level 8 monsters. It works so well, and it helps you draw 2 cards. So you want to be able to shuffle through this deck and get your hands on Gren Maju as quickly as possible. So I think this is a good card to have. Next, I like to play 2 copies of Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. It's just a Raigeki, plus you can summon Kaijus on your side of the field and your opponent's side of the field. Works really well. Again, this is probably something I'd run at 3 if I had the Kaijus at 3 as well. Next, I like to play 3 copies of Golden Castle of Stormberg and 1 copy of Terraforming to search that mentioned Golden Castle. So its effect is once per turn during your standby phase, you must banish 10 cards from the top of your deck face down. This is not optional, or this card is destroyed. During your main phase, you can special summon 1 monster from your deck that specifically lists Golden Castle of Stormberg in its text. And as we know, we're going to be special summoning and searching the Hextrude card. You cannot normal summon set the turn you activate this effect, even if this card leaves the field, so you got to be a little bit careful about that. You can also only use the effect once per turn. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, destroy the attacking monster, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the attack of the monster that is on the field. So great protection, plus you're banishing 10, so it does power up your boss monster really, really considerably. So lastly, I like to play 2 copies of Super Poly. Now, Super Poly isn't something like, if I'm playing around with like friends, probably won't use it as much. But if I take it to a tournament, I already know what kind of cards that most of the time, or what kind of decks my opponents are going to be using. So Super Polys are really, really helpful just to get some of the more annoying monsters my opponent may be using out of the way, and being able to summon 1 of my monsters from the extra deck. So overall, I think Super Poly is a must-have, especially if you're going to like a tournament or something. But if you're playing with friends, I could see going without it. Moving forward for the extra deck. So first of all, I like to play 1 copy of number 97, 1 copy of number 100, and 1 copy of number 38. Now, these are my like package of OTK, because you already know number 100 is OTK potential. You can use number 97 to make number 100, plus you need a number monster to put under it, so that's why I also run that. However, you can also use I believe technically, I don't want to make sure, special summon each other. You can attach one material from this card. No, it has to be dragon. Sorry about that. I just wanted to make sure. So yeah, it has to be dragon. So this is a new card I'm testing out. That's why I wanted to make sure about this one. But this card has actually been working really well as well. Gains 100 attack and defense for each monster in the graveyards. Once per turn, you can detach one material from this card until the end of your opponent's next turn. This card cannot be destroyed by card effects. Neither player can special summon monsters from the graveyard. So it has potential to just shut out what your opponent can do. And overall, it works really well just for defensive purposes, which is why I started running this like a couple days back. So it has been coming in handy though. I think I've tested it in 2 or 3 duels. And then I also, moving forward, like to run 1 copy of Galaxy Eyes Full Armor Photon Dragon, 1 copy of the Zombie Vampire, and 1 copy of Divine Arsenal AA Zeus. Now, 2 Xyz monsters that I definitely recommend. I just don't own them right now. Definitely you should try out number 84 if you can get your hands on that. One other one that's useful is Dingrisu, the Orchist of the Evening Star. I probably butchered the name, but it's a very popular card to try out. And moving forward for the fusion cards. So obviously we're going to be using Super Poly. So we are going to be running 1 copy of Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. It's generic, 2 dark monsters on the field. Dark is one of the most populous types that are out there right now. So, and then Dragon Necro Nether Soul Dragon. It just takes 2 zombies, so it has potential to beat a Zombie World deck, plus it has potential to beat an Eldritch deck. And I've seen combinations of Zombie World and Eldritch, so I think overall this might be a little bit better than Eldritch to Mad Golden Lord, just because it's just generic 2 zombie type monsters. And then I play 1 copy of Mud Dragon of the Swamp. It just takes 2 monsters of the same attribute but different types, so it has potential to just take out a lot of different decks and slow them down. For the links, honestly, there's a lot of different ways that you can go, but I kind of just decided to cheap out a little bit on this. So I got 2 copies of Nightmare Unicorn and 2 copies of Nightmare Phoenix. Overall, I would say this deck is really, really good. If you can get your boss monster out, it will have insane attack. I love this deck. Super fun to play. This and Skull Servants, I would say, are kind of similar, but kind of not at the same time. Definitely, I'm going to try out. Maybe do live duel with Skull Servants versus Gren Maju. That'd be kind of fun to test that, actually. We'll see how that goes. But anyways, guys, this is Plotter Cards signing out for the day. If you like what you see, don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe. And oh my goodness, look at the time.
It's time to